hoopinhoops.com. Give me a like, and of course, please subscribe. You know, I will really appreciate it. Okay, so today I want to touch on two games, the Sixers Nets and the Warriors Kings. The Nets played a better game than the first game that they played, even though they lost. The Sixers are obviously too much for the Nets. Now, the Nets played more to their strength this time around. By that, I mean they played more defensively. And of course, they've got two-way players. They've got Dorian Finney-Smith. They've got Royce O'Neal. They've got Michael Bridges, who is also their star. So, they could have played a more defensive game. And you could see it in the outcome, in the score, the final score. Of course, they have shooters, a couple of shooters. They have Curry, they have Harris, and they've got Spencer Dinwiddie. That's okay. And of course, I'll not go down the whole roster. But despite what they have, it is not enough to go up against a team like, Philadelphia. Now, as I said before, the Nets will have to make some moves this off season. They have some nice pieces that they can hold on to, and they also have some pieces that other teams will be interested in. Plus, don't forget, they have a number of draft picks. With the right moves, they can become one of the top teams in the East within a few years. Now, on to that Warriors Kings game. And the Kings won again. That puts the Warriors in unfamiliar territory. The Warriors are now down 0-2, and this is the first time in the Steph, Clay, Draymond era. Exciting game. But of course, we all know that's not what everybody is focused on, despite how good the game was. It's the Draymond Green, the Montas Sabonis incident that's the highlight. I'll get straight into it. I do not stand with most persons on that one. By that, I mean I think the NBA should suspend Draymond Green. He deserves it. Let's be clear, okay, with what happened. Draymond Green stomped on Sabonis' chest. Then he used his chest as a launch pad to jump off like a kid in a playground. I will start with the only argument persons have in favor of Draymond, and that is Sabonis initiated it by grabbing his ankle. That statement is true, but it is not a good enough reason for Draymond to do what he did. And as I said, I believe the NBA should suspend him. I will give about three, four, or so reasons, although I could give more. A person just need to ask if they want any more. I mean, I'm all giving in reasons for this one. One, the play could have potentially harmed Sabonis. By that I mean breaking his ribs or even something worse. Okay, Draymond Green, you know, once his leg got loose, he obviously retaliated. And of course, we know how he retaliated. But let's look at this from a different point of view. Assuming Sabonis grabbed Green's arm, once Green got loose, would it be okay for him to punch him in the head or someplace where Sabonis could have gotten hurt? I think the obvious answer is no. And, if something like that happened, where they grabbed the arm and he retaliated with a punch, automatically that would have been a suspension. And I say head because when you stamp on somebody's chest, we know the ribs, how fragile it is and how easily it could have gotten broken. Okay, so that's a dangerous play. That's a dirty play. Okay? And because of the potential for harm, he has to be suspended. And that is one of the things the league has placed emphasis on in protecting persons. Okay? Protecting persons from plays where you could get injured. Which is why, when you swing, even if, it doesn't matter, once you touch the head of someone, it's an automatic ejection most of the times, or flagrant foul or something like that. So just imagine the extent of what he did. Two, Draymond Green have a history of dirty plays. We all know the NBA takes that into consideration when they're dishing out punishment. Remember Patrick Beverly recently when he pushed a player. I don't remember the players, which player it was actually, but he pushed a player when they stood over his teammates during his time on the Lakers. Because of his history, they gave him a 3-game suspension. Now, persons could argue that what Patrick Beverly did was not nearly as severe as what Draymond Green did. So, of course, if Patrick could get 3-game suspension, Draymond Green could at least get a couple games, I would imagine. 3, Draymond Green consistently does the same tactics to other players. You don't have to look far, or, or you don't have to look deep to get a number of incidences of Draymond Green grabbing person's leg when they try to run up the court, or grabbing their shorts, or other tactics. I won't even mention the number of times where he's kicked persons in the nuts. So yeah, as I said, Draymond Green, sorry, should be suspended. Now let's not get confused because I've heard some people talk about the game lack physicality, and you know with all what happened there between Green and Sabonis, you know that is not physicality of the game. You know there is physicality of the game, and there are things around it. Now there are some things that you may let go. Like for example, um, if you could get away with, say, flopping, say you get away with, uh, giving a little elbow here or something, you know, a little an elbow in the ribs or an elbow or something that you could get away of to kind of intimidate the person. Nothing that rises to the extent of harming the individual. Then you could say, okay, you know, that's all right. We know back then there was, hand checking and all of that kind of thing. That's one thing. But to stump on someone and classify it as physicality of the game, that is a different thing. I'm not sure how many people who remember Karl Malone back in the days when he would go up, he would spread his elbows, keep both hands on the ball. So if you try to block him, very likely, your face would get to his elbows, and of course, that would not be good for you. And persons would call Karl Malone dirty for the way he would, go up to make his layups or even dunk the ball. But I mean, and persons look at all of that in terms of the physicality of the game, but that's a whole different story. But back to the point, people forget that Draymond Green, all that happened was that he got a taste of his own medicine and he did not like it. Go back to game 1 and you will remember, or you will see that Draymond Green laid on top of Sabonis himself to prevent him from moving. You get to game 2. Before the incident we're speaking about happened. Draymond Green also intentionally hip checked Sabonis, got away with it as well. Now, Sabonis, all he did is that he gave Draymond, or he used some of Draymond's ammo against him. In that, you know, he got a chance, he see an opportunity, he grab his leg. I mean, persons want to focus on the ankle. He grab his ankle, and the refs let Draymond get away with a few antics, and it's very likely they would have let Sabonis get away with it as well. And Draymond realized that as well, so he didn't like it, and as a result, Draymond Green retaliated. So let me say this: Draymond Green has to be suspended by the NBA. There's no question about it. Hoopinhoops.com.